Merry Christmas, everyone. It is LaughNgamez here. I'm back with another StarCraft 2 cast. It's Christmas Day, and of course that means I'm still going to be casting StarCraft, because that's just the way it goes. So guys, I'm here. It's going to be the Afreeca World number 28 Grand Finals. If you guys watched the previous videos, they've been up on the channel about a day now. Basically, we had Hero versus KeeN. KeeN, he 3-0'd Hero in rather convincing fashion. And then similarly, we had another Terran player, Bunny. He 3-0'd a Laser. So that's the European champion being knocked out. But yeah, so we're going to be having ourselves a Terran versus Terran. It's going to be a best of 7 finals. As I said in all the previous videos, a bit of a different format from the usual Afreeca Worlds, but it's Afreeca World. I gotta watch it, so I may as well cast it. I don't have to, by the way, but like, you know, it's the tournament I organize, so I should probably see the games and whatnot. But spawning up in the top right-hand side of the map, playing for Team Blazer, it's Bunny. That just goes so hand in hand, Blazer, Bunny. But spawning in the bottom left-hand side of the map, it's KeeN. Sort of one of the older players in the scene. KeeN's been one of those Terran players who's always been exciting to watch. Just, he's been in Afreeca World a few times now, but even just in the GSL, no matter who he's playing, it's always fun games to watch, usually. So, yeah, we'll just see how these guys are going to be playing it out today. Of course, they both just came off the back of a 3-0. And now we'll see how they're going to be playing this one out. As far as the builds go, it's a double gas, or pardon me, double gas coming out of KeeN. Bunny just going for a single gas into the Expo, which is something definitely to note. Basically, he's just saying, all right, it's Serlin Fall, which is one of the larger maps to start things off in a TvT. You may as well just sort of play that slightly more passive style. I myself, I mean, I know you guys don't want to hear about me when we're talking about professional StarCraft 2, but after looking into it a bit, they're both very, very good builds. Both of these openings, players really just have their preference because, I mean, like, the timing that Bunny's getting up his CC is so much farther than that of what KeeN's will be. But of course, KeeN, he's got the faster factory. But yeah, it really comes down to however you like to play it. Lately, I've been testing around with a bit more of that faster factory play, and it is nice having up all that tech pretty quickly. But there we go. We do see KeeN get up his own factory. If we noticed, he was delaying putting extra SCVs into his gas, so he wasn't rushing out into any sort of tech super quick or anything. Double gas, but it's a little bit more of a safe opening in the sense, not crazily rushing to any tech like that. But yeah, KeeN just getting out his 2 Reapers, moving out with his Hellion as well. He's got another Hellion on the way, whereas Bunny, on the other hand, he just went for the single Reaper, and he's getting out the double Marines. Now, KeeN may actually just sort of roll on up here. Of course, the command center is going to be done, so that'll be fine. But if KeeN decides to go up this ramp, Bunny could be in a bit of trouble. He pulls that Reaper back, knowing the timing, and he's going to have to hold the high ground here to be safe from those Reapers, because KeeN, he did continue on with the production, whereas Bunny, he invested in a reactor, delayed his production. Something that's also very notable in TvT is the new Cyclone. When it's a new unit or a changed unit in a mirror matchup, that's probably where you're going to see it the most. But as far as this sort of matchup goes, it's affected in a slight way. The Cyclone takes a little bit longer to get out because you need to build the tech lab. But once it's out, it really does shut down these units. Look at that though, KeeN, he does pull back. He doesn't want to get locked on because it pretty much means certain death generally for any unit that gets caught by a Cyclone. But I mean, if we look at things, these players pretty darn equal on workers. KeeN actually with a slight lead. So Bunny may have had to cut production a little bit there, but their unit count's very similar. So they're both really ending up more or less in the same place. Interestingly enough, we are seeing a Medivac coming out of KeeN, which is something that's always interesting to see in a Terran versus Terran, because the thing that makes it really interesting here, let me just talk about this a bit, is that we used to see double Cyclone drops. A fair bit in TvT. Not a ton, but definitely a noticeable amount, whereas now it's like, are Cyclones really that good at dropping? So we do see some players experiment with that every now and then, but it could always just be a Marine drop. This Medivac could just be picking up these Marines maybe and moving across the map quickly, but no, the Marines are not actually joining this. The Marines are staying back at home, and the one Cyclone's being ferried across. However, if we look at this, Bunny, his Reaper is going to be trying to get on into the natural base of KeeN, but I imagine it's going to be shut down pretty hard. This poor Reaper doesn't know what he's about to jump up on into, but that's a lot of Marine fire. But the Reaper, oh my gosh, it actually makes it into the main base. A Marine could pop out, and oh, it does, it gets it, but Bunny really saw everything that there was to see, and honestly, it's not a whole lot. Just a 1-1-1 coming out of KeeN. Bunny similarly on that amount of production. Bunny's gone right into tank production. He sees these 2 cyclones, or does he see these 2 cyclones that are dropping into space? There we go, he sees them. That's being forced away. And this is something that's interesting how Bunny's playing this. He's already got his 3rd CC on the way, whereas KeeN's is a little bit delayed, but I like what KeeN's doing. He's going for his 3rd CC on location. Cerulean Fall, a big map. If you're a player with a map control, like, it's risky for Terran to build their CC on location. Like, guys, we can talk about Protoss, we can talk about Zerg. The Zerg base, it'll build. You can't kill the SCV. That's why it's risky for Terran to build a CC on location, because of this vulnerable SCV. But KeeN figures, yeah, you're playing it pretty passive. I've got the map control. I'm fine to take this and get a little bit ahead in that regard. Of course, he did see Bunny's command center, so he knows the timings and all that. He's like, yeah, all right, well, yours is a little bit quicker. Mine's on location. Nothing too major. The thing that I did want to talk about Bunny's game, this play, though, is that we're seeing mass Viking, mass siege tanks. Like, there's not really anything better. That's potatoes and gravy, basically tanks and Vikings. Because the Vikings, they give you that air control, and then the tanks, in theory, they outrange everything. So there's really not much that you can do to beat tank Vikings besides attacking onto it with, like, say, a lot of Marines or something. Or building your own mass amount of Vikings, and right now we are seeing KeeN start up his own Vikings. KeeN already has his 1-1 on the way, whereas Bunny, he's delaying his a little bit more. If we look at the production, though, they're both just on 1 barracks. Now, Bunny, he opted to start his 2 barracks faster, but KeeN already has the 1-1, and that's pretty significant, actually, though. This upgrade lead that KeeN's got himself, just from the way these 2 are macroing out. Of course, Bunny, he invested in a lot of Vikings, so he's now going to be moving out with these. However, KeeN may just be trying to get on top of that. We're seeing interference matrix going down on some of the tanks of KeeN. The Vikings are working away on these other units. The Vikings are even going to land for Bunny. He may just be breaking through right now. And we do see all the tanks of KeeN, pretty much all but this one that's retreating, have gone down. So KeeN's actually going to be able to be forced off his 3rd base. He's been a little bit greedy here, and he's kind of being punished now. The 3rd command center is forced to lift off. KeeN hasn't taken tremendous damage. He lost his fair bit of army, though, so he's got to really respect this. And this is concerning for a Terran player. He's going to have Stim and 1-1 in a while, but the Viking count is just overwhelming for Bunny. He just started producing these, moved out, and he's even got a Liberator joining up with us, but he doesn't need it, apparently. The Vikings just land and kill it, and yeah, look at that. Bunny takes the first game. That's actually just bananas. Now, guys, I do apologize if for that game my mic was a little bit loud. Sometimes if you guys mess around with audio and stuff, you'll know, yeah, there we go. Windows decided to make everything a little bit louder than it should have been, and I do apologize. So usually I'm on a certain level, and sometimes applications or games, yeah, that's it. I was playing a game with microphone usage, and I was playing Rust. And that messed with my microphone because Windows likes to do that, which is unfortunate, and I do apologize. So my mic may have been a bit loud in that last game. I already cast it, though. Unfortunately, it's a best of 7, so there'll be more games. We're going to get on into map number 2. This is a replay cast, so we're going through all the games here. We'll see. It's a best of 7, so there's definitely room for KeeN to bring it back, but this is more of like a casual, just 1v1 replay cast. I don't know who wins this, so we'll just have to see how that's going to go. Now, spawning up, oh, that is not correct, pardon me, spawning up in the top right-hand side of the map, it's KeeN. I mean, he was setting up for a very strong macro game, but Bunny, he had a nice timing there with all of his Vikings and his tanks. KeeN tried to step out on the map to sort of intercept what Bunny was sending out, but in the end, Bunny's like, all right, yeah, I'll just kill you, I guess. All right, now spawning down the bottom left-hand side of the map. Playing for Team Blazer, it's Bunny. I actually love, just like, I love how Team Blazer, how they've got, like, their clan logo, and even their sponsors being advertised on their clan icon. It's just so cool. A lot of clans and stuff don't necessarily do that, and I think that's a waste. Like, you're sponsoring these players, get your name out there, why not? Now, as I attempt to fill the downtime looking at this, we're seeing mirror builds coming out of these guys this time. Double gas coming out of both of them. If you remember in that last game, Bunny, he went for the faster command center and then just into a lot of Vikings and a lot of tanks, and that really did what he needed to do. Like, KeeN saw how many Vikings there were, and he's like, yep, I guess I'm just dead. That's the way it goes. Now, yeah, so we'll see what these guys are going to do this game. But, yeah, anyway. It is really cool how teams do that advertising. Like, I was wondering, like, how much? Alright, this is the random LaughNgamez shower thought involving StarCraft 2. It's like, of course people are always looking at Grandmaster ladder and, like, who's #1 and such on the ladder. It's like, how much would a brand pay to sponsor, like, a player who just gets their brand name to the top of the NA ladder? Like, that would actually be such a cool thing if people named their accounts or whatever, like a sponsor brand or something, and tried to get to the top of the ladder. The reason why I think about that is because this is like a random bit of StarCraft stuff. Looking way, way back, probably when I was pretty new to the scene and really getting into it, I remember In Control, he tweeted out, I think it was, I'll give $100 to whoever gets the name In Control to the top of NA ladder. And Parting's like, yeah, I'll do that. And just things like that are just so cool in the StarCraft 2. Anyway, as I kill that time there, both these players are expanding. Hellion and Reaper on the way for Bunny, whereas KeeN going right into his Cyclone, so a slight difference there. Now, sometimes that can adjust how things are. Like, say of Bunny right now, he was moving out with his Reapers and his Hellions right away. He's moving out with them now. Sometimes you can get across the map in time before the Cyclone's out, but KeeN's Cyclone should be popping out just in time. Like, it's a very, very close timing as to these units getting across the map and maybe bullying. And looks like, yeah, KeeN's Cyclone will definitely be out on time. Although this one Reaper moving out could be in a bit of trouble here. Yeah, these Hellions and Reapers coming in. That Cyclone just popped out, is joining up on the front lines. These units could be in trouble, and yeah, there's that lock on. And once a unit's locked on, it's pretty much dead. But as I say that, that Hellion manages to sneak out the Reapers, making that Cyclone waste a little bit of time. So good save there for Bunny. We see Bunny, he's getting up his starport, getting up his reactor. Oh wait, Bunny hasn't built a Cyclone, the absolute madman. Cyclones are kind of like a necessity, right? But we'll see if he goes into one, getting up his reactor and everything else. Whereas KeeN just going right into his second Cyclone. Looks like a Reaper for Bunny. Tried to make the dive on in. Gets picked off, though. What did he end up seeing? Looks like he saw a fair bit, saw all the tech timing and everything like that. Then we'll see how these guys are going to play it. Now, a tech lab on the way for KeeN. Both players had a Raven in that last game, I believe. And then we'll see. What else are they going to do? Right now we see KeeN, he's moving out. He's got his double Cyclone, which definitely has bullying power to it. And some of these SCVs could be in a bit of trouble. What does KeeN have? Or Bunny have? He's getting out a tank, getting up some Marines. But if we look at this, these two Cyclones, they're going to lock on, and Bunny is going to definitely lose some units here. Reaper dies, Hellion makes it to the high ground, but if you're Bunny, like, how do you deal with this? Cyclones are pretty darn good. KeeN even brought his 2 Marines, so those will get cleaned up. This tank, I think, has to maybe siege up because of, but if those Cyclones get a lock onto it, it could be very, very troublesome. That tank will siege up, though. But look at that, KeeN, he managed to kill off 5 SCVs, so that is absolutely fantastic for him. Bunny just, you can say just go for 1 Cyclone and you're fine, but not going for a single Cyclone is pretty darn greedy, and KeeN really showed Bunny that you can be punished for that. If we look at that, this KeeN also moving in with his siege tank. He's got 2 Marines, a tank, and a medevac, and that should actually be enough to basically just beat these Marines in this Hellion. The tank's gonna land here. Units can begin being ferried. It looks like this supply depot is gonna be forfeit. Cyclones are gonna land on in here. We'll see what Bunny is gonna do. He may just throw down an auto turret to try and clean this up, and that's exactly what he's gonna do. Cyclones are still trading out with some of these units. They do get lifted up. The medevac, the tank gets cleaned on up. But suddenly these Cyclones, they can maybe drop around, maybe try and find something here and there. Looks like they're heading towards the natural. So, yeah, looks like Mule gonna die, maybe an SCV as well. Another SCV goes down, so nicely done by KeeN. And he's just having full vision of exactly what Bunny has got as well. This is nice for him. And KeeN following this up with his own very quick 3rd command center. Meanwhile, on Bunny's side of the map, just... I mean, he lost the 5 SCVs early on, and we're sort of seeing the effect of that. KeeN basically has a 3rd CC, and it's not like Bunny really has an ace up his sleeve. He's now even lost a few supply depots. That's money lost. So KeeN's kind of just running away with this one, it looks like. All right, now Raven's going to be moving in for KeeN. I love this. Raven harassment still very, very good. Raven only has enough energy for 1 turret so far. It's going to be able to throw that down, but gonna have to get on out of there. Gets 1 SCV. Probably gonna get a 2nd to lace that supply depot, and Bunny is still a supply block, so that's actually significant. Now, that auto turret will time out. Raven, it's hanging around, and this could cost KeeN his Raven because these 2 Vikings are here, but look at that. This Medivac also hanging at the back here. Vikings are going to go chase that down. You got to be careful there. These Cyclones, they got to land out, and they actually don't. Auto turret goes down. Few SCVs are dying to that, and actually 7 have died in total. Make that 9. Nice harassment there coming out of KeeN, getting a good bit of damage done. But as I say that, meanwhile on this side of the map, some of those SCVs that were dying were in this push. The 2 Vikings are out for KeeN. Bunny went for a nice bit of a tank push here. Sorry I didn't catch that, guys. No, I was paying so much attention to that harass. The 1 Marine chasing these Vikings back. 2 Vikings are actually here for Bunny, and this is really nice. Anti-armor missile goes out on 1, so he's definitely going to win this air fight for now, until at least 2 more Vikings come out for KeeN. The 2 Vikings are actually still alive for KeeN, though. That was actually very impressive, keeping them alive. He pulled them back. He can now repair these. This is so important for him. Looks like his own Raven could be in a bit of trouble, and it does die. But on Bunny's side of the map, he's just got 2 Vikings. He's getting out another Viking and a Liberator, but KeeN, he's got 4 Vikings, so Bunny's already thinking, right, I'm gonna have air control, I'm gonna use this Liberator, it's gonna be awesome. But no, suddenly KeeN, with his superior amount of Vikings, is just gonna win on out. And it looks like this series, Vikings could be the name of the game. Now, tanks unsieging, they're trying to figure out what to do. There's a nice line locking KeeN in. Eventually he's gonna have to break this, but with his air control, he can definitely manage to do that. Auto turret being thrown on out, gonna kill off an SCV or 2. 5 have died in total lately. But this 3rd base is up, and KeeN doesn't even know about this.
Complete.
Or Bunny doesn't know about this. If Bunny knew about this, this could be a different story. He could probably go force that base to lift off, but the economy for Bunny is just so far behind compared to that of KeeN. And he knows he wants to keep getting some damage done because he took a lot to some harassment, but the tanks are now going to start inching forward for KeeN. He's got that air control. The only thing Bunny can do is scan, and one of his tanks is going to be under fire already. That's a nice find. Liberator comes on in towards the 3rd base. Tanks are getting set on up, but look at this. KeeN's actually going for it. Auto turrets. Oh, they were not all thrown out by Bunny, and suddenly KeeN, look at that, comes forward with the Stim Marines. Ties the series up 1-1. Alright guys, this is a pretty casual cast, but these are actually some pretty crazy games. Just the decisive moves that these players are going for. I'm going to click load on in towards that next game, and we'll see how that's going to go. All right, we are into the replay. This is a replay cast. It was cast live by Falcon Paladin on Afreeca TV, the sponsor of the tournament. Lots of StarCraft 2 happens on that streaming platform, guys. So make sure to check that out. I link it in the description of every one of these videos, so make sure to check that out. Like I said, but here we are. It's a best of 7, pardon me. Not a best of 5. It's tied 1-1, which makes my life easy for setting the scoreboard. But spawning down the bottom right-hand side of the map, it's KeeN. And spawning up the top left-hand side of the map, it's Blazer's Bunny. I don't know what tangent I'm gonna go on this game, but I guess the main thing that we need to point out here, no Reapers just yet. And Reapers received a little bit of a buff with the Cyclone being nerfed. That was actually one of my main concerns with the Cyclone being changed, that you can't build it without a tech lab, so it takes longer to get out. So basically that makes Reapers better by extension. Now if we just look at this though, both these players opening up pretty respectful, no second gas from them just yet. But maybe we could just be seeing a Reaper expand coming out of both these players. Bunny already moving out with a scout, KeeN not doing just that. So Bunny, not the trusting kind apparently. But in a TvT, you can never underestimate the value of a scout. That SCV's moving on in. It's also important to note, guys, neither of these guys have those new war chest skins on or anything like that. So I don't know how to feel about that. Bunny's SCV comes on in, he sees the one of KeeN hanging down here, and he's actually going to be a bit of a nuisance, delaying this a bit. And this is actually a notable delay. KeeN wants to get this up, but another SCV had to be pulled down. Bunny's going to have to send his SCV away if he wants to keep it alive from the Reaper. But he gets a nice bit of a delay there, just something that KeeN probably didn't want to worry about. So the scout, that early investment, getting a little bit of a payback there. All right. So command center on the way. I mean, these really are mirror builds up until the point, as I say, Bunny is getting up an extra Reaper. KeeN going right into the reactor. It's a little bit risky to go right into the reactor because, I mean, it's a little bit crazy the whole Reaper versus Reaper thing. KeeN's Reaper is pulling back. He only has the one, so he's got to be the player who's more careful. I mean, if you just we've seen a lot of Terrans just lose games just from losing the first Reaper. It's like, all right, your CC gets delayed, something like that. But the second Reaper now for Bunny. And he is moving out with his Reapers for now. As I say that, though, he does just park him up at the top of the ramp. So, I mean, he could be poking KeeN for now, up until the first Hellions out, up until the Marines are out. But not making use of that extra mobility. But, of course, guys, let's be honest. It's a bit of a crapshoot. Like, the Reaper numbers game. You don't know how many Reapers your opponent is building, so it's like, all right, I'll make maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. In this case, KeeN opted for the little bit less, whereas Bunny opted for the little bit more. But everything said and done, these are pretty darn similar builds. Okay, so we'll just see how this devolves. Looking at that production tab right now, we are seeing a Cyclone on the way for KeeN. He was the player who opted for 2 in that past game, and from the start of that, it really sealed him that game. Those 5 SCVs he killed, definitely a significant amount. KeeN getting up a Raven. Bunny, on the other hand, investing in another gas. There's his own Raven. But Bunny staying back at home, following these units. He's doing a good job to make sure that no Reaper can dive on in, and it looks like KeeN was maybe planning on running one in. Although he was actually really just scouting out, it seems, checking for something, say, a proxy starport. You can never underestimate proxy Banshee. Helps you plan the positioning of your units. Of course, if you know about that. Alright. Now, Raven on the way. Going to be out for both players. We are seeing, look at this, guys. No Cyclone coming out of Bunny. And I mean, that last game, he in a way just lost because he didn't make an extra Cyclone, but he's very confident in this game. And of course, that window has passed in which, you know, he just straight up died. But we now are seeing KeeN move out with one of his Cyclones. I apologize for that pling, by the way. Now, Command Center on the way for KeeN, once again going for that quick third. We're definitely seeing a trend in this series. Now, that quick third for KeeN really was backed up by the fact that he did early damage to Bunny. He's not getting any of this done this game, though. So Bunny's follow-up or counter to KeeN's early greed, maybe punish a little bit. However, that Raven, oh, that Raven's actually going to go down. That's a fantastic find for KeeN. Like, I know I didn't exactly shout or anything, but, like, that is a massive deal, picking off a Raven. Now, KeeN also loading up his Cyclones into a Medivac, going for that double Cyclone drop. It's not dead, guys. Double Cyclone drop is alive and well. We're seeing an auto turret go down at the back of his base. 2 SCVs die. Another one being queued up out of tank range, going to force the unit response. Gets an SCV, trades out with a Reaper. Cyclones are now dropping though, and oh my god, KeeN's actually just going to lock onto this. Now, he doesn't have Magfield Accelerator though, so I don't think he's going to be able to get that. Good reaction by Bunny, and look at that, these 2 Cyclones actually being forfeit. A few SCVs have died at the hands of the aggression, but these Cyclones, they will all end up getting cleaned up. They can maybe take out another SCV or something like that, and they do get just another, but Bunny probably going to be alright with that trade. KeeN's Raven on the way home because he knows there's the Viking count for Bunny. Bunny has liked his Vikings this series. But, yeah, now, as far as things are going, KeeN getting out his stim pack, getting out his 1-1 already, but Bunny, he did opt for the faster stim, and he's moving out on the map already. Bunny's going to have a pretty significant army supply. He's once again moving out with that high Viking count, high siege tank count. He's going to start encroaching on KeeN. Oh man, he's actually landing everything, and he's just going right for it. Now, of course, there's no Raven or Bunny in this fight, but so his Vikings are doing their best to tank, but he is trying to break this line, and it looks like he may have actually been able to do it with the support of all of his Vikings. The auto turrets did not add enough muscle to this to survive, and suddenly we're seeing, even though just 1 tank survived for Bunny, that's really all you need to choke a Terran out. His Vikings are moving forward. They're going to be able to start trading out with this. Looks like he's got the superior number, so getting a pretty favorable trade. Gotta really respect the Marines on the ground, though. Yeah, Bunny may be overcommitting a little bit with this. does not actually kill off the Viking of KeeN. So air-wise, it's actually not really enough, it looks like. With the repair, KeeN should actually win out in this air versus air battle. So Bunny, he's got this good position at the natural, though. While KeeN, he does have the Vikings. It takes a while to push tanks back. You need to be very, very cautious in moving forward with your own tanks. Of course, scans can prolong Bunny's stay. Meanwhile, Bunny's got up his own third CC. Now, KeeN is mining at his third as well, dropping mules there. But look at this. Bunny, he knows about a Liberator flying right on over. We'll see if he repositions that to land all those fresh mules. But we do see that the Vikings for KeeN are quick to react. But Bunny, he may just send something down there. Yeah, look at that. Few Marines stimming, moving down to that location. A siege tank even there. And all these fresh mules could be in trouble, and that's a lot of money. Meanwhile, the Vikings have landed, so KeeN's being forced off this. And this is looking pretty good for Bunny so far. Vikings land. They do actually manage to clean this up. Mules are still forced off the line. They're going to get back to work, so not being completely shut down there, but still a nice, fantastic attack for Bunny. I say a nice, fantastic. That is not English, but it is a nice attack. Bunny did a pretty fantastic job of getting some harassment done. Now looks like he's going to trade on out. Gotta respect the stim Marines for KeeN, though, as KeeN's own stim is finished now. KeeN does have the 1-1 upgrades. But, of course, Bunny, he does have the higher economy at this point. So we'll see how this is going to work out. Raven still being in the air for KeeN is a big deal. Of course, we've all seen the effect that those anti-armor missiles have. Marine versus Marine upgrades, very important. So KeeN, with an upgrade advantage, with his Ravens to even potentially further that advantage, he's not in a bad spot. KeeN is also finishing up an armory so he can start his 2-2, maybe prolong his upgrade lead a little bit. Bunny, on the other hand, though, he's very, very well saturated at his third base. He's got the slightly better economy. And so we'll see how these two guys are going to clash. It may just be sort of like a 1-1 fight that we eventually head towards. The players are beginning to send out their just scouting Marines. Just being put on duty. Just make sure that there's no shock or surprise or anything that's going to hit them. KeeN's got up double sensor tower to be safe. Bunny's just opting for the one at his third base. He's got a very nice spread with his units. So even building a supply depot to the north, I absolutely love it. Spot those drops early. At this point in the game, 100 minerals isn't incredibly significant. Of course, money is always money, but knowing a drop's coming your way is also just equally as important. Now, in this game, we're seeing KeeN move on out. He's got his Marines. This is a double medivac drop, it looks like. Not actually dropping, just patrolling out for now. Both players heading towards their 2-2. Vehicle armor on the way for Bunny. Vehicle weapons on the way for KeeN. Make that of you will. I mean, the weapons benefits the tanks. The armor benefits, say, the Vikings and the tanks and the medivacs. So it really does come down to preference. The armor really will help in the air-to-air fight for Bunny. KeeN now going to be flying over this supply depot, so he will be spotted in that regard. Is Bunny going to react immediately? He is. He's already got 2 turrets in fantastic position. With the Viking assist, he may just really be able to shut this down. The units are actually going to elect to drop towards the third base, but those Vikings are all shut down those medivacs before they even unload all the units, and that drop gets absolutely nothing for KeeN, so a nice find there for Bunny. He's got himself a pretty decent supply lead at this point. And looking at this, Bunny, he's now moving out with all of his Marines. Really all of his everything. He's setting his sights for these rocks. Actually going to lose a few Vikings here. This is a fantastic find for KeeN. He just killed off like 5 of Bunny's Vikings, and suddenly KeeN has all the air control, and that is absolutely massive. There's no way that can be contested. An anti-armor missile, they don't do damage anymore, but this is really going to prevent Bunny from diving on top of KeeN, who does have an inferior army at this time. But still, that was an absolutely fantastic find for KeeN. Snapping up all of those Vikings. Bunny, he maybe had a scary push. He maybe could have contested the air and just won out in that regard, but KeeN finding that with his Marines just quickly snapping those off, definitely worth it. KeeN's now securing his 4th base. Bunny, of course, getting up his own 4th base, but Bunny maybe had some room to work with, but the longer the game goes on, the more that diminishes if we look at it. Like, I mean, 200 supply versus 200 supply. It doesn't matter how big your bank is. if one fight really goes poorly. Now we are seeing KeeN move out on the map, and this is a relatively small army he's got compared to that of Bunny's. Like, look at this. This is actually such a big army for Bunny compared to that of KeeN. KeeN's trying to keep a good spread. But Bunny, he's having none of that. He's moving on in. He sees these tanks. He's actually going to be eating fire. KeeN's coming in. Tanks on the right side are not firing. He really just wanted to pull Bunny back. He was maybe worried about losing those, but look at that. A nice scan goes down for Bunny. He's actually going to unload Marines on top of these tanks. He's going to dive right on top of them, so that's 4 tanks dead. His own tanks are getting set up. KeeN's trying to come through this rock opening that was made, but this is actually a terrible location for him to fight in. Anti-armor missiles are helping Bunny's Marines die quicker, but Bunny's own tanks are now set up. They're going to be able to take a very nice engagement here. These tanks are just shelling away. Of course, Bunny, he's going to maybe lose out in the air fight. His medivacs are being picked off, but Bunny taking a decent fight there, and most importantly, this Liberator harassment that has gone on at the 3rd base is absolutely huge for Bunny. This Liberator may be going to get on. No, it doesn't look like that he will. Both these players are on 2-2 upgrades, but I mean, if Bunny can get his tank set up, he can maybe choke out KeeN quickly. I mean, KeeN, what does he have to break this? He's just going to have to dive right on in here. Where are Bunny's reinforcements? They're moving in now. This is going to be a pretty good fight for Bunny. It looks like his own Vikings are coming on in, working on the medivacs of KeeN. More tanks getting set up for Bunny. KeeN's trying to desperately push this off. He does not want Bunny to be able to choke him out, but Bunny lands his Vikings to help on out. They're going to be able to pop off these weak Marines. The one tank staying alive. It's not really close enough to have a significant positional value, but that's still a nice bit of pressure for Bunny. However, as this has gone on, KeeN, he's already secured his 5th base. Bunny just starting his 5th base, so he really wanted to hammer on that aggression. And if we look at the upgrades, KeeN, he's heading into his 3-3. Bunny has neglected his 3-3, and I mean, the 3-3 upgrades, so important. So KeeN gonna have an upgrade advantage. He really has weathered the storm, so to speak. I mean, he took a bit of Liberator harassment, but he's got a good worker count. He's already got his 5th base. That's going to be a planetary. However, it is TvT. The one fight means absolutely everything. Now, if we look at this, Bunny, he's actually sent out an odd amount of Marines, maybe waiting for a good chance to stem on in, waiting for KeeN to really be out of position, because there is a sensor tower. Bunny, I don't think he can go on in with just a handful of Marines, like otherwise KeeN will just react and say, okay, I'll go kill this off. But here we see medivacs flying over for Bunny, grouping up with this army. We're having a raw Marine versus Marine fight, but KeeN's upgrades are so superior here. The 3-3 just absolutely massacring these 2-2 Marines. Bunny being forced to rout. He needed the element of surprise there, so suddenly those Marines getting nothing done. We're seeing a fusion core now on the way for Bunny, starting up Viking Liberator production. Ship weapons on the way. He's got his armor as well, so his air units are definitely going to be superior. And air is a big part of TvT. However, if, say, KeeN finds a good opportunity and dives on Bunny with his superior Marines, that could really be all that KeeN needs. Tanks are getting set up already for Bunny. He's just got to be careful not to be caught. Bunny is actually chasing KeeN right now. I don't know if he can do that. This is 3-3, guys. This is a big deal. The Vikings are going to start shredding the medivacs of KeeN, but look at that. Bunny's Marines disappeared so quickly. All right, now Liberator coming in though. So as far as the tank Viking goes, it's actually very important. Now we're seeing KeeN, he's moving in with his Marines. He's sort of been sectioned off here. He's got to be very careful, but he may just decide to try and shut down this 4th base if he has the chance. It's a planetary, but you do really have to respect that. KeeN making 15 Marines at a time is definitely important now. He's even getting up more of his starports, realizing, all right, it will eventually become about that air control, as it is a late game TvT. Command centers getting on up here for KeeN. Just eventually these players will throw on more and more CCs, expand more and more. They're both on 5 bases for the time being. Bunny will have his 3-3 in just a second here, which is so important. Man, this TvT is insane. But look at this, Bunny, 6 Liberators on the way at a time. He's got advanced ballistics on the way as well, +1 ship weapons. So Bunny is really planning on this air control. And I mean, when it comes down to the one big fight, Liberators and Vikings can really give Bunny the positioning that he needs. Now, KeeN though, he's still looking for something. He knows he's got a pretty decent army. He knows he's maxed out, so he's moving on in. We'll see if he's able to find anything, though. Eventually, he will be pushed back by these Liberators. The main thing that he has going for him right now is his position out on the map. If Bunny cannot, say, just dive right onto... If, say, Bunny can't pin KeeN down, what I'm saying here is that KeeN can always just keep bouncing around these bases. Liberators and Vikings, they eventually win out, but they're better at sort of clearing stalemates and winning stalemates. Right now we're seeing KeeN just unsiege, move on out. He knows that he can't push into this because of the Liberators, because of the Vikings. Looking at this right now, we're seeing a bit of Marine harassment going down for Bunny. Looking for these SCVs that are repairing this base. Gets 3 of them. This base was looking pretty low, but not going to be able to get what he needs. And we're actually seeing KeeN pushing in, but Liberators getting set on up, working away on some of the tanks. Bunny coming in, pretty good angle. Both these players equal on upgrades now as far as their Marines go. And so many Liberators getting set on up. KeeN's tank count being weakened right now. More and more Liberators getting set up. This could be a bit of an overextension for Bunny, though, as all of these Liberators were unsupported by tanks, but no, KeeN knows he needs to back off. The +2 ship weapons actually really doing a good job keeping those Vikings and Liberators alive versus the Marine fire. Another command center on the way for KeeN. He's building that number up, but he is down on supply overall. He's secured himself a 6 base. Bunny's just on 5, but the air army of Bunny is pretty significant here. Marines versus Marines, KeeN's got the lead, but he's really neglecting that air army. All right, now we're seeing Liberators fly on in here for Bunny. He's just maybe going to set up in this position. He's just moving across the map. He sees SCVs transferring. He'll be able to catch them. Tanks are going to want to get set up. Liberators can give him the air control. If he just gets on top of KeeN, he can really just choke him out. However, KeeN's built up his own Viking count. The players are engaging right now, though, but the Vikings of Bunny are definitely superior with their +1 attack, with their armor. KeeN's have none. However, he may just have the numbers he needs with his Marine support. He will actually win out in this fight against really odds and upgrades. Now, Bunny, though, he's still up on supply by a significant amount. KeeN, he's eating some Liberator harassment now. And if we just look at the supply, I mean, both these players on fantastic economies, but KeeN, he's never really just hit that very, very solid max out. Another Liberator getting set up for Bunny. The harassment is such a powerful tool. And if we look at this planetary is going to go down. So KeeN knocked down a base, losing 12 SCVs. His worker count not that high. Well, both these players, you think these are pretty late game Terrans. Look at this. The harassment for Bunny is absolutely impeccable right now. KeeN has lost 22 SCVs. And let's take a look. Vikings will clean this up eventually, but the worker count really tells the story. It's literally half for KeeN. There's a chance with this high production, with this high base count, that in theory you can get back up on your feet. You're not dead until you're dead in this situation, but this command center being forced off, and Bunny, he's just really focusing on this air control. More Vikings, more Liberators on the way zone. Liberators are getting sieged up. His tanks are up. The Marines for Bunny are just stimming forward. This could actually just be it. Bunny's Marines are moving forward. They're focusing down the tanks, and once the tanks are gone, yeah, KeeN knows it. GG. Bunny takes himself a 2-1 lead. All right, guys. I know I said that I just hop right on into the next game, but not going to be in such a super quick rush, as it is just a replay cast. The players aren't waiting in the lobbies or anything, and most importantly, my voice is tired. Had a bit of a hiatus for casting while I was without power for a time being, but getting back on into it now. Also just going to close TeamSpeak, but don't want to keep you guys waiting too long. We're going to get on into the next map. It's going to be Port Alexander. So we'll see. Can Bunny really take the lead here, or will KeeN tie it back up? All right, it's a best of 7. We are on map number 4. Spawning down the bottom right-hand side of the map. It's KeeN. And he's moving out with an early SCV. We take note of that. And spawning up the top left-hand side of the map, it's Blazer's Bunny. Got himself a nice lead so far. If he can go up 3-1, that would be huge. Of course, neither of these players quite looking to win the series just yet, as it is a best of 7. There's going to be at least 4 maps played, and we know that this one's going to at least 5, since KeeN has taken at least 1 map. Now, KeeN, he wants to cheese Bunny out here, maybe pull himself a quick win and tie things up. And you can't blame the guy. Reapers are a very valid strategy in TvT. It's sort of like a high-tech game of rock, paper, scissors. Rock, paper, Reaper should be the new name or whatever. But yeah, KeeN going for a very aggressive proxy, really close to Bunny's side of the map. And Bunny, he has opted for those Reaper expands a fair bit. And as far as Bunny's choice goes, once again, he is opting for a Reaper expand. No early scout or anything just like that. So we'll see if he sends out another scout or something, but yeah, this could definitely be hitting Bunny hard. Like, this is looking rough. Okay, here's a question, guys. While we're waiting for this to heat up, I'm thinking, I was like, this is looking for rough for the bunny. I was gonna make like an animal conclusion, but what sort of animals are bunnies? Like, of course they're mammals, but rabbits aren't rodents, are they? Bunnies are not rodents. So what are bunnies? That's a good question. These are the thoughts I have while I'm waiting for things to heat on up, but things are definitely heating on up. It doesn't take long with a proxy Reaper. Look at that, Bunny's Reaper moves out, but KeeN says, all right, door's open, I'll show my way in. Reapers are now going to engage each other, but that command center being delayed, it's basically just done for at this point. We'll see what Bunny has on the way. He's got another Marine, so he wasn't opting for another Reaper. He's getting a bunker on the high ground, but his CC on the low ground going to at least be canceled. He can try and save this, but this is risky moving out versus the two Reapers. The micro, just a single Reaper dying can completely end the game. KeeN knows he kills the Marine, so Bunny has to pull SCVs. He cannot let his Reaper get focused down. A Marine pops on out, but that could be in trouble. He's pulling back his own Reaper. It regened a bit of health, but that's cut off as it takes another shot. Bunny pulled off so many workers off the line now. Another Reaper diving on in for KeeN, and this is looking very tough for the red Terran player right now. SCVs are starting to fall. A Hellion is on the way if he can just hang on, but it looks like his Reaper may just be chased down. But one of the Reapers falls for KeeN, but Bunny, his own Reaper, has died now. There's another Reaper that rallies on in. KeeN's just continuing on with the production. If the Marines die for Bunny, he really won't have any DPS to clean this up. He's lost 5 SCVs so far. KeeN, meanwhile, macroing up behind this, a factory on the way. And I think KeeN may basically just have done it with this attack. Bunny has the command center done, though. He managed to finish that up. While KeeN was busy diving into his main base, he lost a good number of workers, though. And meanwhile, oh, I apologize, guys. My mouse sometimes likes to die as I'm observing. So KeeN's command center is later, but if we look at this, he's already got his factory up. He's going to be on a better economy for the time being. His Reaper's going to be able to harass this natural base, so Bunny can't even drop mules or anything there. His orbital was delayed a little bit. Bunny getting up his own factory and a tech lab, but if we look at that, these players are pretty equal in that regard. There's already a starport on the way for KeeN. He can eventually start up his own Cyclone if he chooses to, something like that. Or maybe he'll just rush a Cloak Banshee, which is very effective versus Terrans on low economies. So, I mean, as far as a Reaper rush goes, this really got done what KeeN needed to. We saw 8 SCVs die, handful of Marines. Of course, that definitely can go either way. And Bunny's choice to follow this up is a command center on the way. We're now seeing one of the barracks is flying in for KeeN, just wants to see exactly what's going on. He's probably going to see this command center go up. This is absolutely huge for KeeN to identify this, to know your opponent's playing greedy as his response. But look at this, all the Reapers suddenly just dive on in for KeeN. There's 5 of them. 3 SCVs have died in total. Grenades are being tossed off, but keep in mind, Bunny losing more mining time. Another SCV being focused down, another one going down. Pretty much all the Reapers just died there for KeeN, so that was a commitment, but Bunny is down to 19 workers, and he just doesn't have that much going for him. KeeN, meanwhile, on his side of the map, he's got a medivac up. He's going to be flying over with his own Cyclone. That's always risky since Bunny has 2 on his side of the map, but Bunny also worried about holding his natural. A Liberator on the way for KeeN. I definitely love this. Liberator's so good at harassment. And Bunny may be thinking that it's a little bit desperate and that he needs to move on out, but yeah, as he moves on out, we're going to be seeing this Cyclone's going to be able to fly on in. I'm not sure it's going to be able to delay this command center as it's just about to finish up. Delaying that would be absolutely huge, but not going to be able to get that. But Bunny moving out on the map with his own Cyclones with his Hellion. And suddenly the Cyclone's going to be moving on in. Locks onto 1 SCV. It can focus down. So many of these are injured SCVs. 3 just die like that. Absolutely nothing. And that's Bunny's already hurt economy. Taking another beating. Of course, he's got this 3rd command center on the way, but KeeN also has his 3rd about to finish up. We're now seeing 2 Cyclones and a Hellion roll on in here for Bunny, so getting a bit of counter damage done. But there's 2 Cyclones now out for KeeN. We'll see if he can get favorable lock-ons. 2 lock-ons going down on that of Bunny's. And look at that, the repair actually keeping the one alive for KeeN for so much longer. And look at that, he trades on out. 1 Cyclone dies for 2 Cyclones and a Hellion. That's a fantastic trade for KeeN. So this is looking really good for the blue Terran player right now. I mean, Bunny is absolutely dead. Not dead by no means, by any means, but KeeN, he's in a pretty good spot. He's got his barracks on the way already, whereas Bunny, he hasn't really been able to afford any extra tech. He's just been trying to get up that worker count. Of course, he's not too far behind on the worker count, but both these players going to be on 3 bases. KeeN, he's going to have up the barracks much quicker. Bunny, he is now forced to make another Cyclone defensively since he lost his 2. And we're now going to be seeing Liberators flying in. It's pretty hard not to lose anything to Liberators. First Liberator flies on into the natural. We'll see if a Raven uses an anti-armor missile. It does. Or an interference matrix, pardon me. So that does go down. But now these 2 Cyclones fly on in. They're going to lock onto this. Medivac has to be careful not to let this not to go down to a Cyclone lock on. And it may get tagged, not quite. It does not, so that's so important for KeeN, but another 4 SCVs dying. He wants to keep his lead and maybe even grow it. He's got his Stim combat shield on the way. Bunny just making Vikings, getting up his Stim on 1 barracks, whereas the production for KeeN is going to be much larger, much faster. And KeeN, being very confident, already able to fly over his 3rd base, whereas Bunny, he's got the fast 3rd, but he's scared because he's taken such a beating earlier on in this game. KeeN's got his 1-1 on the way. There we go. We're now seeing the 3rd flying over for Bunny. You can't sit back too long, but yeah, I mean, these double Cyclones going to be moving on out. Looking for that Hellion. Do they get it? It's going to be close. Does go down. Nice find there. Viking gets locked on. Got to be careful to respect that. Viking get locked onto by these Cyclones. KeeN just being so active with the units he has out on the map. Bunny, he's getting up his extra barracks, he's getting up his E base, but everything is later. His worker count is lower, and he's also down on supply. So this is looking really tough for the Blazer Terran here. All right, now we'll see what these 2 players are going to do this game. Well, we've already seen what they're doing this game, but how are they going to follow this up? Will KeeN go for a move out and just try and smush his opponent out? I mean, once he really identifies the fact that there's a 3rd base, which I believe he already has, yeah, he knows that's landed, so he knows that Bunny's going to be defending multiple locations. Medivac gets picked off. KeeN's been very active with this drop. Looks like he may be losing one of his Cyclones here. I mean, you never really want to lose a Cyclone losing a unit in StarCraft 2. It's very rare that you know, just want to give up and say, all right, just go ahead and die. But, I mean, it's not the end of the world for KeeN. There's no doubt about that. He's now moving out up 20 supply. He's now going to be moving in on Bunny. He's going to have Stim 1-1, whereas Bunny will just have Stim pack. The unit count, we're seeing 21 Marines to 8, so that really does tell a story. KeeN's moving in with everything. Look at this. Actually, double Medivacs are filled with tanks, so he may just be looking to pull a real fast one on you, unload the tank somewhere super quickly, and then you just really kill your opponent. And it looks like that KeeN's just going to try and crack this 3rd base. He's unloading the tanks here at this 3rd. He's actually in range. Bunny's tank was not in position to cover this, and suddenly his 3rd base can be shelled away on. SCVs are forced off, and suddenly how does Bunny break this? He's got the higher Viking count, so in theory he can do that, but his command center is taking so much damage, it's going to be forced to lift off, I believe. And it is. Bunny has to repair this. Meanwhile, yeah, like just KeeN, he's reinforcing here. He's just up on supply. He's just got such a good lead here, guys. 1-1's going to be done for Bunny soon, so he shouldn't be too far behind in that upgrade. But, yeah, what do we have for air control right now? Bunny does still have the air control. He may just need to make some Liberators, and that's exactly what he's doing. But he's actually just going to try and break this, and I think that could just be what does him in here. GG gets called. Yeah, KeeN stims forward as to embrace Bunny and tie things up. Fantastic. This is a fantastic TvT, and that's what you can really expect from 2 Terrans at this caliber of play. All right. So we're going to load on into the next map. It's going to be Automaton. Bunny versus KeeN. Going into map number 5. So this series going a long way. And that's a given. Now it's a best of 7. It's currently tied 2-2. Spawning in the left-hand side of the map, it is KeeN. That proxy definitely did what he needed to. And this player, it's Bunny, playing for Team Blazer. A really good Terran. Top 3 Home Story Cup. Afreeca World Champion. Won the previous event. It was actually looking like, while we were organizing this, guys, it was looking like Bunny may not be able to play. And I was like, all right, well, it's not that big of a deal not having the previous champion in. It's always nice, though, for the storyline factor, but... And then as I'm looking for other players to play, it's like, all right, we've got all the players that want to play. Just about to send out an invite for a replacement for Bunny, and then he's like, no, I can play. I'm not giving up my crown. And we'll see if he can stay true to that. But of course, KeeN, he sort of sat back a week, and that's what allowed Bunny to become a crown. So really, what this tournament should be called is there can be only one Afreeca World Champion. All the others will be dispatched after this. The European one gone. The 2 Koreans. It's really being settled between these two right here, right now. Bunny a little bit scared of the proxy. Moves on out with his SCV to scout. Can't blame the poor guy. Looks like he will be opening up similar. Just going for that Reaper expand. There's that nice star. Meanwhile, KeeN getting up his factory, getting up his Reaper. Makes me wonder, yeah, he's not mining that much gas. So this likely will be the fairly quick expo follow-up to this. Not rushing out a super fast Starport or a super fast Banshee. Which is interesting to see that this is a variant. It's sort of like, yeah, I'll get out my tech a little quicker, but it's also the most economic variant of that. And I think this has got to be like a pretty strong build for KeeN if you look at it, because if you're going up against a Terran who's really going gung-ho with the double gas, mining all the gas, getting out aggressive units as fast as they can, you've got the tech, you've got the production up already to defend because you've had the fast factory, you can get up the fairly fast starport, but then your own command center is going to be much quicker than that of someone who's going gung-ho aggressive, and it's not that far behind compared to someone like Bunny. I mean, it's a significant amount. It's 40 seconds later or so, but compared to some of the other builds we see, it's not that big. Now we're seeing these players move out on the map. Bunny actually has made 2 Reapers this game. He's getting out his own Hellion, so not just going right into those Marines this game. So it really will come into that crazy micro battle, but KeeN's suddenly moving on in towards Bunny's side of the map, and he may actually be able to cut off the Reapers of Bunny. Is parked on the high ground. Yeah, he's actually going to find these. Does he, though? No, Bunny turns around, but yes, Bunny actually going to lose one of his Reapers. This is fantastic for KeeN. We'll see if he can chase him down or whether this can escape. And yeah, look at that Bunny. He says, all right, the Hellion, it's the unit that can chase down the Reaper, so that Reaper dies. And now Bunny says, all right, I'll move on in with my own Reapers. They got this control. No SCVs on the low ground for them to kill, but Bunny lost that muscle by losing those 2 Reapers. This is fantastic for KeeN. We'll see if his Reapers are going to dive on in here. There's a Hellion in, so we'll see what they're able to get done. They really got to respect this. The Marines may get picked on off. They're taking a beating here. Looks like one of these Reapers may go down, and it does, but another one moving across the map, so we'll see how much KeeN does keep pushing this. Meanwhile, his own CC getting set up. He can already begin saturating that, so in a way, his economy already is better than that of Bunny's. The fact that he's mining off of his natural, of course. This Cyclone does come on out to force the blue Terran away. This Hellion really just running around to buy time, knowing that his life is forfeit. So losing those 2 Hellions is a bit unfortunate. That Cyclone getting its value. Bunny opting for that defensive unit, but meanwhile, KeeN, he's getting up his own Cyclone. Cloak on the way. Banshee on the way as well. So this is actually the first Banshee we're seeing of this series, which for a 5-game TvT, that is something. Sometimes we see Banshees every game, sometimes we see them just never. Now, unit-wise here, I mean, it's not like KeeN's super far behind losing those units or anything. He caught the 2 Reapers early on, so really it's 2 Hellions and a Reaper died for 2 Reapers and a Marine and SCV, so it's just minimal, the difference in this game. It's just apples to oranges. The 1 Cyclone, KeeN moving out with his 1 Cyclone, definitely risky, and as a result, he bleeds off a unit or 2 there. His Cyclone stays alive, which is very important defensively, but that's why moving out with just your 1 Cyclone is risky if you haven't identified what else your opponent is making. It's that sort of ebb and flow of TvT of who's got the more units, who's going to have the map control. KeeN gets up another Cyclone, moves on out, and he's actually heading towards the base of Bunny, whereas Bunny heading towards the base of KeeN, bringing a Raven, bringing the Marines with this. So these players are going to be hitting each other hard. Looks like the 2 Cyclones for KeeN getting up to no good, but suddenly Bunny going to say, all right, that means that you're probably pretty clear out here. Now, there is, of course, the one siege tank. I imagine, if I had to take a bet, that Raven's going to throw an anti-armor missile down on that. Maybe just auto turrets. We'll see. It is auto turret as the choice, but the Raven actually gets focused down. I'm not sure if that had enough energy, but we're already seeing SCVs have died on the side of Bunny. I guess he didn't pull them. No, it's actually the Banshee that's killing off so many SCVs, pardon me. And I'm not sure that Bunny's going to be able to get enough counter damage done, so KeeN, this is looking really good for him. Suddenly, there's absolutely nothing on this side of the map to deal with the Banshee. The Banshee going to work away on the siege tank. No SCVs there to give that a hug just yet, so going to get a tank. Maybe could get some more SCVs, but look at this. The Cyclones in the natural base are even getting more kills, and we've seen 20 SCVs die on Bunny's side of the map. Another Banshee coming in. That's the GG. KeeN got himself a 3-2 lead. Bunny had the early lead in this series, but KeeN bringing it back. All right, let me just load up the next replay. The map will be Stasis. And this raises the question. I don't know about you Bunny fans, but do you think he can bring it back? All right. Whoop. Spawning up in the top left-hand side of the map, it's KeeN. And on the right-hand side of the map, it's Blazer's Bunny. So we'll see what these two guys are going to do this game. Now, I want to talk about something. For those of you guys that are watching this on YouTube, I know I don't have a huge audience or anything, but I remember when I first started becoming a StarCraft 2 fan, watch guys like pretty much anyone who do StarCraft 1 cast, StarCraft 2 cast, pardon me. And then, of course, but like I'd watch a lot of videos and such, but I wouldn't necessarily know a lot of the players. And so I'm casting this, and I'm talking about, like, oh, all the players and how they play and everything. But this is just for YouTube, so I'm curious, like, if anyone, I don't know, wants to leave a comment or whatever, like, if you guys are someone that just watches StarCraft 2 on YouTube, do you, like, follow the players that closely? Do you have, like, favorite players? Whereas I know a lot of people that tune into live streams and such definitely do, because, of course, you want to watch your favorite players play live and whatnot. So it's just interesting, that sort of thing, because I remember when I was just, like, a YouTube guy for StarCraft, I didn't really remember players or have super favorite players, but once you tune into the live streams, that's when you're really like, yeah, I know these players. So, I don't know. Guys, I literally loaded into this game, and I was like, what's going to be my random tangent for the early game? SCV for Bunny going for a bit of a block. Both these guys going for a Reaper expand. It's Stasis, so you really can't blame them. As if we look at this, I mean, Stasis. It can be a hard map to cheese on. The central watchtower makes things kind of tough, but it's also very defensible from the air. You lock down, like, this location, they can't really get into your main base unless they go the long way around. Of course, tank pushes are always an option thanks to these rocks back here, thanks to the cliffs and whatnot, but we'll see how these guys are going to play it. KeeN gets the first shot off, keeping his Reaper on the high ground, not going to try and pursue that a Bunny, not going to try and dive down. It's actually such an interesting dynamic. It's like, I know you're there, you know I'm here. I guess if Bunny tries to jump up the cliff, and then, of course, there's the Reaper RNG, so it's always, who knows, you know? Another Reaper out for KeeN, but he's not grouping his up right away. Neither is Bunny. Both these players, they're going to have two Reapers out in two different spots, or each in a different spot. Looks like the one of Bunny actually gets scouted out, so his could be in trouble here. He's grouping them up now, but KeeN definitely getting the head start in this fight. He's going to get that one of Bunny, and then he's going to be able to get on out of there. Bunny's Reaper has more health than that of either of KeeN's, but his command center is already done. So Bunny lost a Reaper, and in the early game, that's a pretty big deal in StarCraft 2. Later on, probably won't amount to that big of a deal since both these guys are being fairly passive, both just expanding. But still, that's always a nice feeling. Getting your opponent's Reaper makes you feel a little bit safer. Safe from the snowball or anything like that. Now we'll see how these two guys are going to play. I wouldn't mind seeing like a fast third command center out of either of these players, and KeeN's building up 400 minerals, so That makes me say, eh, but then of course his tech is just finishing up. So yeah, no super fast third CC coming out of either of these guys. I don't mind that every once in a while, but looks like Bunny gonna try and dive up this ramp. Pardon me, KeeN gonna try and dive up this ramp. Now, yeah, we'll see this engagement going down. Looks like both these players turn around, and that went all right. Now we've seen a Reaper die on each side, so it's just those early game TvT skirmishes. Sometimes they are so important and can win you the game. Other times, they just amount to nothing, really. Now we are seeing a third CC on the way for Bunny. I like it, because attacking on this map can be hard. The third base location, it's pretty decent. There's the watchtower, so as long as you're fighting for those, you have the information you want. Meanwhile, KeeN on his side of the map, getting up a medivac already, so maybe gonna want to go for that double cyclone drop. Will he move out with, say, as Raven or something out on the map and go for some harassment? It is, yeah, always tough to say. Reaper moving out for Bunny. It's gonna be heading towards this watchtower. That cyclone could have something to say about that. Gets the lock off, so that is a dead Reaper. So nice for KeeN to be able to shut that down, control the watchtower. Of course, Bunny doesn't know exactly what's on KeeN's side of the map, but neither does KeeN. And Bunny getting up his fast third CC, whereas KeeN getting up Ravens, tanks, continued marine production, now starting his third CC on location. All right, this is pretty similar to game number 1, guys. Or was it game number 2? It seems to be the trend in this series anyway, that these guys, KeeN, he'll delay his third CC a little bit, get it on location. Bunny, on the other hand, he will build his much quicker and get it in his main base. A little bit of skirmish going down here. Raven gets locked onto. Cyclone's dueling it out, but the Viking actually picks off the medivac of KeeN, so that's a nice find. Now suddenly, Bunny just saying, all right, I'll go to my high ground. Would be nice to see him, say, repair his Raven, repair his Cyclone. KeeN's definitely being the player with the map control, whether he has the units to back it up or not. I mean, he's got the one extra Cyclone, so that really helps out. But if we look at this, Bunny is building up the Viking count once again. Stim on the way. KeeN's upgrades will be faster, but of course his tech and production is going to be later. So it's just nothing too significant going on in this game just yet. We'll see how this macro game is going to head. And I mean, KeeN, he's got the one game to burn, so if he's comfortable in a macro game, just take it however you want. He's got that comfortable feeling, whereas the pressure's really on for Bunny, because if he loses this map, he's just done so. He's dead. He's out of Afreeca world. Now Bunny getting up his tanks, his Vikings. Gonna be moving across the map, and he has had a lot of success with these heavy Viking, with these heavy tank pushes, just abusing that positioning. KeeN's moving out on the map with some of his units here. Cyclone's not going to try and engage this, but he does know that this attack is coming now. His first watchtower going to be cleaned on out as Bunny starts to cross the map. KeeN's Cyclones are moving on in. If they can get a lock up on a tank, that would be nice, and they do. Those locked units need to pull on out, and that lock does get broken. Scan goes down. Looks like a tank actually going to be caught out. Gets it. That's absolutely fantastic for KeeN. Another tank. Oh man, Bunny's got to be careful. He scans. He sees those Cyclones. And meanwhile, on KeeN's side of the map, he's got the 2 Ravens. We'll see how this air fight goes. Turrets being thrown down right out the gate for Bunny, just wanting to focus down these tanks as fast as he can. He even lands his Vikings. This is so ballsy. Gonna trade on out with the tanks of KeeN. But whether he can keep pushing this further is the question. He no longer has the air control since he landed those Vikings, but he's actually just moving down to the bottom of the ramp. He's going to get sieged on up. KeeN, while he's got the air control, he doesn't have a Liberator to break these tanks, so breaking these tanks is going to be very tough. And meanwhile, Bunny, he's got the faster stim pack. He's going to be sending a few Marines to start slaughtering these SCVs. Looks like KeeN, he realizes he needs to break this. Bunny has got a scan, though, to give him vision. The tank gets shot down. Good Marine buying time there, but in the end, KeeN's Marines are clumping up. They don't have stim to quickly close the distance. This will be shut down eventually, but Bunny did a good bit of damage there. He's now up on supply. His own upgrades, they're definitely delayed. Combat shield, he's going to have that sooner, though, so things may balance out a little bit, but KeeN, now that he does have his own stim, he's going to have that going for him, which is nice. He'll have the upgrade advantage, but look at this. Bunny just coming on in here. Another tank getting set up, a handful of Marines, and I mean, KeeN, he's going to have stim in 8 seconds here, but losing mining time definitely hurts because Bunny's economy is just soaring up here. He's on 73 workers. Ravens, though, interference matrix, allowing that tank to be cleaned on up. But look at this, Bunny going for a drop at the natural while all this is going on, really turning on the heat right now. 21 SCVs have died so far. Marines dropped into the main base, and then just between the damage at the third, Bunny having a lot of success right now. Looks like he definitely wants to take this to an ace match. Okay, we'll see. Bunny maybe planning another drop. He's got the watchtowers with all the vision. We'll see. Maybe he'll just boost on in. KeeN's trying to cover all these locations, but he doesn't have that much supply to do so. Look at this Bunny, though. He realizes that a Marine's coming on in to fight for the watchtower, so he loads his units up, pulls them out, so KeeN's not aware of the positioning. Just little things like that in StarCraft 2, but Bunny's actually just going for it. He scans, he sees there's Marines back here, but he's just landing everything. Gonna want to siege these tanks up ASAP, but with the Medivac support, he's definitely going to be able to bite out KeeN's natural. Now, is this a Liberator harassing at the third? Yes, it is. KeeN's just falling apart. This is looking pretty similar. Don't quote me on the game number, but this is looking pretty darn good here. Poor Bunny, this style of play just is fantastic. His Marines, they're stepping a little bit too far forward, but he's still forced KeeN off his naturally skilled 14 SCVs. The Liberator at the third gets shut down, but KeeN is just down on supply by a pretty significant amount now. He's not mining at his natural. A Medivac's going to try and get some Marines into the main base. KeeN, he had some Marines in position, but they're not able to stop this drop just yet. It sneaks on by. He's busy doing a million things. He's focusing on breaking this attack, and he does break it, forces the Marines out, but he's lost 27 SCVs. He's half the worker count, even less than half, as a matter of fact. Upgrade-wise, KeeN's going to have the 2-2 on the way, but he's in a very tough situation, guys. Make no mistake. Look at this Bunny coming in towards the third base. There's absolutely nothing to defend it here. One tank going to be able to shoot at these units as they come down the ramp. Bunny just happy to take a trade at this point, heading towards the third base. Maybe going to snap up a few SCVs, and he does, and KeeN cannot afford those losses right now. Bunny just doing so well this game, pulling KeeN apart. If we look at this, yeah, there we go. There's the scan. KeeN knows he's in so much trouble. Look at this, a drop in his main base, his natural base under fuck. Oh my god, is he even going to lose his command center? No, he keeps it alive, but not quite. Third base loads on up, and there we go. Yeah, I mean, just the damage has been done here. 41 SCVs, and there we go. KeeN taps out. GG. All right, there we go. Bunny ties it up. It's 3-3, guys. Now, I'm actually going to have to step away for a minute, so there's going to be a quick jump in this video. You're not even going to notice that it's going to happen. All right, guys, it's Christmas, so I had to step away for a second, but we're back. It's time for the grand finals. I mean, how terrible is that, having to step away right before you find out what happens in this tournament? But no, it's Christmas, so things like that happen. We're gonna get through it this evening. Spawning up in the top left-hand side of the map, it's KeeN. I'm keen to see how this match plays on out, but then spawning down the bottom right-hand side of the map, it's Blazer's Bunny. Either of these guys could easily take this tournament, and as you'd expect, they're very closely matched, as they're both just two very high-level Korean Terrans. They're also so unique, and that's why it's a pleasure to watch these two guys play. We'll see how they're gonna play this one out, as a matter of fact, but all right, yeah, I mean, so should be a great one here. Of course, guys, the next Afreeca World, pretty much every game, it's like, all right, what am I gonna talk about during the 2 minutes of downtime? When I'm just doing like an individual 1-versus-1 replay cast, or like, all right, just got one thing to talk about, and we're good, but this time I got to do like 7 in a row. Bunny's scouting out with his SCV after that nasty proxy, which I believe was in game, I want to say 4. That he's been very cautious in that regard, being like, all right, KeeN proxies. Bunny has shown no inclination to that this series, and as a result, we're not going to be seeing that coming out of him. But so far, we are seeing these guys stick to their tried and true. KeeN goes for the multiple gases to start the faster factory, whereas Bunny plans the Reaper expand build. So we'll just have to see if these guys do alter anything up. But as far as it goes, no, they both like their same individual styles. It's what they probably practice the most, and that's why it's always awesome to see how these guys are going to enter sort of like a tournament or a matchup. I, for one, am very excited for something like, say, the GSL upcoming, assuming that ever gets announced. But, no, yeah, so it's going to be very exciting. But as far as Afreeca World goes, the winner of this gets invited to the next event, which usually are bi-weekly and bi-weekly every 2 weeks. So the winner of this match gets invited to the next event. And sometimes players tend to keep that ball rolling. Like Laser had a nice run going on in Europe. Solar had a very nice one going on in Korea for a time. Of course, it's sort of like a new era. It's really up in the air. Of course, either of these guys would technically be a back-to-back champion, which is really exciting. So that's a given. Now, as far as the builds go, it's pretty much opening up exactly the same as the other games, as those are still pretty fresh in my mind. I mean, like, it's just KeeN, the slightly faster factory, the little bit delayed economy play, whereas Bunny, on the other hand, tends to go for more of the economy, gets the CC up at the more standard time. This time he's going right into a Cyclone. We saw him skip that in 1 or 2 of the games, and I mean, I don't mind a command center first. Well, when I say a command center first, I mean a Reaper expand. It's when you cut all those additional corners, like skipping the Cyclone, that's when it gets concerning. But here's Bunny, he's gonna have a Cyclone on the way. Already throws his grenades down to shoo those Reapers away for KeeN. So Bunny, yeah, he's already in a pretty good spot. He may want that injured Reaper, and KeeN knows it. So these two guys doing that incredible micro dance, of course, until the Cyclone gets out for Bunny. There's nothing really to shut it down, but there we go. That Cyclone gets on out. Gonna begin chasing down these Hellions. Will it be able to get one? No, it doesn't. They get out of vision there. Break that lock on. And Bunny, as a result, gets back to mining on his command center. Repositions 2 of his Marines at the top of this ramp to intercept any Reapers. His own Reapers are moving across the map now. They could be a little bit overextended here as KeeN, he just sent his right back home. He's got 3 of his own Hellions out. And these poor Reapers for Bunny, oh man, they are done. His Cyclone actually says, nope, enough of that. He backs on up. He realizes that even a Cyclone, they don't have the most health in the world. So he actually has to sort of, you know, tuck and hide here, because KeeN really committed to these Hellions and Cyclones. He's got 3 Reapers, and when I say Hellions and Cyclones, pardon me, getting tongue-tied, I mean Reapers and Hellions, 3 of each apiece. One of them, of course, is injured, but that's definitely enough to take on a single Cyclone. However, a Cyclone supported by a bunch of Marines, that is not the case. So actually, I believe 2 of the Hellions went down there. That's a nice catch there for Bunny. Meanwhile, Bunny's own Cyclone actually just dove right on in here. It's going to begin working away in the command center. This was a bit of an odd timing. It ducked out, mainly to avoid those units, but now it's actually getting in here, getting a bit of damage done. It's most likely forfeit due to the fact that these units are out on the map, but it may actually be able to get this Hellion. Chasing down the Cyclone's a bit of a tough job, but the 3 Reapers and the Hellion, I believe they can definitely take on a Cyclone. I mean, it's usually when there's 3 units they can't quite do it. When there's 4, it usually can be done. At least the Cyclone does get that Hellion nicely done. So as far as the units lost goes this game, 2 Reapers and a Cyclone for 3 Hellions and a Marine. Generally even, that's how these guys have been playing it out. And that's why this series has been really awesome to watch. They have their own unique style of play, but they're really ending up at the same destination, both of them having their 3rd CC on the way. Of course, Bunny, he delayed KeeN's by getting the cancel off with his random Cyclone across the map. Sometimes things like that just happen in StarCraft 2. Tank getting its shot off right now. And 3 Reapers for KeeN. Okay, this is something that I really love. His Reapers, they're not going to have too much effect, so he's actually going to be looking for a nice open window here. And he's actually going to be finding one from the looks of it. The 3 Reapers, sometimes they just hit an odd timing. I mean, they can sneak on in there, and look at that. We're already seeing a few SCVs fall. There's 2 dead. A few Marines are chasing after them. But that's all there is. We've seen 4 SCVs die. The tank and auto turret will shut this down hard. That one tank knocks off those 3 Reapers there. So shuts that down. But now Bunny, he's beginning to push on into KeeN. He's just on the offensive, and neither of these guys really have definitive air control or anything like that. And look at that. KeeN's actually really just trying to break this. Interference matrix does go down though, and that will actually break the hold of Bunny before it really even gets started. Not a significant push or anything coming out of Bunny though, so it's not like that was a big deal or anything like that. Both these players, this is really exciting to see. They're both pretty much on equal upgrade timing. There's like seconds, just individual seconds as far as the difference between their timing. That's really exciting because it means these guys are going into it pretty much equal foot. Their worker count very even, supply very, very even. I mean, force supply, not that big of a deal in StarCraft 2, the later a game gets. Now, this one Hellion blocking the 3rd base may be able to delay that a little bit, whereas Bunny's already landing. But these guys' bases, they're landing like within a minute of each other, and that's very, very close. Their builds are very, very even. Equal on workers. That poor Hellion does get knocked off there, but yeah, this is just heading into a very equal TvT. The thing about Bunny is that he's really liked his Viking count in the past in this game. He's gone for those sort of odd timed pushes. Right now he's moving out, looking for something to get done on KeeN, but KeeN, he's already got up his nice Viking count. He's the player that's really committing to these for now. Whereas Bunny's Cyclone, just looking for whatever it can get. That's really his main sort of long-range anti-air. So Bunny, he wants to push on in here. He's got his Raven. However, well, he's actually got his 2 Ravens. He's actually going to maybe just disable all these. The one thing that KeeN doesn't have, he made a lot of Vikings, so he actually cut a lot of his bio fodder, whereas Bunny has that. Bunny's loading up into his Medivacs, maybe going to be looking for a drop or something along this lines. Always a bit of a risky play, always a little bit nerve-wracking pushing into an opponent who's on very equal footing. And when I say a very equal footing, I'm referring to their stim timing, their upgrades, everything else like that. And that's exactly what they're heading to now. The 2 Medivacs are going to be moving on in here for Bunny. There's the 1 Viking to intercept this, however the rest are not in position. This Medivac is going to be able to boost on in here. It needs to boost unless those Ravens are able to disable it. That would be very unfortunate, but the Marines know they're basically on a one-way trip, so they start unloading. Interference matrices do go down. Auto turrets have already been dropped down. Auto turrets work through Marines without combat shield pretty darn quickly. A few SCVs are starting to fall, so Bunny getting a bit of damage done here. He's killed off 5 SCVs. That's really it. So far, he's looking for another angle to abuse while this is going on. There's only 2 tanks up at the front. The Ravens could maybe dispatch that, but there's not too much else. These Marines, they've killed off 8 SCVs. They've delayed the armory, so KeeN's 2-2 has been delayed. Bunny's own armory a little bit later, just little things like this, though. So Bunny, he made a nice little play happen. He's up 10 workers, which is significant, but of course, anything can happen when there's Ravens tanks at play. It really comes down to the one engagement. Now, looking at this, though, KeeN, he says, all right, I'm a little bit behind. Maybe I'll just throw up this command center. That's just the way he likes to play it seems. Auto turret's going down for Bunny, though. He's really just committing right on in here. Siege tanks are getting set up for both of these players. Marines are working away on this. The auto turrets for Bunny are actually doing tremendously in this fight. Bunny's actually just going for it. He's getting on top of these tanks. The Vikings are forced to land here for KeeN. He's got some Marines reinforcing in, but Bunny is really taking a bite out of him. I mean, like I was saying, things are pretty even, but sometimes the lead in StarCraft 2 can just be pushed and pushed and pushed. Bunny, however, this time he's pushing right on in. SCVs are being pulled for KeeN. He knows how close it is. Eating a tank shot or 2. These SCVs are pulled in, but then they're quickly pulled on out. He's down to 54 workers compared to Bunny's 73. The lead for Bunny could potentially just reach exponential levels here as he's starting to really choke up KeeN. Once again, KeeN with a hidden base. This has happened so much in this game that Bunny doesn't know about a base to deny it, but Bunny is really just looking for blood. However, I mean, if we look at this, Bunny doesn't have too much on this side of the map. He's got 3 tanks set up, but KeeN, he's going to have a pretty good angle here. He's loading up Marines into these Medivacs. I think maybe he could have broken that if he went for it via the ground, unloading some Marines over here. I think if he just unsieges his tanks and goes for it at this stage, if he knows about it, and if he does manage to break it, he will escape with a 4th base, whereas Bunny has yet to start as both these players have their 2-2. And yeah, look at that. Bunny's already backing up, looking to consolidate his forces. These Marines may be able to catch a tank for KeeN. That would be absolutely huge for him. Every unit matters at StarCraft 2. Bunny hot pickup lifts up one of those tanks, so he only loses 1. I mean, these guys are really fighting with everything they have. Every unit's so important. Now, Bunny has been routed back a little bit. He's not sure enough to be able to continue this push or anything, and thing is still incredibly equal this game. Like, they're within 10 supply of each other in this TvT. KeeN, he's already got up his 4th base. That's something that's very nice for him, whereas Bunny's, his 4th is definitely later than that, and KeeN may be the player who's deciding to be offensive this time. All right, so KeeN on the offense, he's got 34 Marines compared to Bunny's 40. The tank count, he's behind a little bit in supply and everything, but of course, tanks, they don't care the most about supply as far as other units go. And look at this. He's just diving right on in. Oh no, KeeN, this could be a massive mistake. He's boosting his tanks in. However, realizing that Bunny's already in position, he sieges the tanks as fast as he can, but Bunny is going to close the distance here. Alright, so these tanks are firing away on this command center, but it will manage to complete here. So KeeN, he got himself a position not as good as he was hoping for. Bunny was in a very good defensive position because he knows that getting caught off guard like that can just be game-ending. This command center is actually going to have to lift, which is definitely nice for KeeN. 4 tanks are never an easy thing to clear out, no matter your advantage, really. The Vikings, though, for Bunny will be what he needs in order to chase this down. His Marines may stim after this, but the Medivacs lift up those siege tanks so they can get their speedy escape. And both these guys right now, they're both very, very, I've been hammering this away, but like, no one has got a definitive lead this game in this series. It's been so close, it really attests to that, as to how equally matched these guys are now. But now KeeN, he's been the player who's been a little bit more consistent with his upgrades. He's getting his 3-3 on the way already. Bunny's is not quite in sight. Bunny's 4th base was a little bit later, so Bunny really relies on having the bulk of the army here, but now suddenly KeeN diving right on top of him, getting his Marines set up. Tanks are on the sieging for both players, but I mean, KeeN being the offensive player right now, he does actually lose out there as Bunny just had more stuff, and that's the main story. That's how Bunny's been succeeding here. His upgrades a little bit later, his command center a little bit later, but he has really been steady on his production, and as a result, he may just be able to really punish KeeN here, moving to his side of the map. That sensor tower going to be under fire. Vikings are rolling on in, maybe looking for a stray medivac or something right now. But of course, the advantage, it's pretty good for Bunny at this stage. Just looking at the supply, he's up 30 supply. That's a significant amount, but it's not the amount in which he can just roll over KeeN right now. KeeN is not dead by any means just yet. Now Bunny though, he is looking to make something happen. Well, he does have this lead here. Vikings rolling forward. He's got the army supply. He's got the Viking count. We have seen Vikings just end the game. Look at that. Bunny moves in. His Liberator's just forcing the unsiege. More tanks sieging in the back for KeeN, knowing that he can't just let Bunny roll over him. And Bunny is committing into this. The tanks are sieged at the back for KeeN though. That could be exactly what he needs. His own Vikings have been got set up, and it looks like he is going to win out in the Viking war for now. It's 5-3 on this side, even more coming forward for KeeN, so he may be able to dislodge Bunny here if he makes something like a Liberator. And the main thing is, on the production tab before, KeeN was throwing up an extra 2 starports, whereas Bunny on his side of the map, he just has the 1. So KeeN definitely has more air production, and if he hangs on, that can really benefit him. But look at this, Bunny's actually going for it. This is so risky for Bunny. Tanks are already set on up. KeeN's even pulling some SCVs into this, maybe a little bit unsure. I'm not sure if they were intentional in that decision, but the Vikings for KeeN, they win out. The ground army wins out. He manages to hold on, and if we look at it, they're within 3 supply of each other right now. Bunny, he's got his +3 weapons on the way. He's getting up 4 more starports, realizing, all right, I gotta match this guy in air production because it is a late game TvT we're heading into. So that's just what Bunny's thinking about right now. He's got up his 4th base. Both these players are just on 4th bases. We may see one of them go for a 5th soon, but KeeN is gonna have his 3-3, whereas Bunny just has his +3 that's going to be finishing up. His armor significantly behind. But yeah, there we go. As I say, that 5th base is on the way for both these players. They're both having a minute to breathe right now. Tanks are rolling out for Bunny. These are a little bit ahead of the rest of the units. These Marines may be able to snipe off one of them, gets one of them. Should be able to get out with these Marines, and actually he does. So 2 tanks for nothing. Very nice for KeeN. If we look at the supply, he was down 30 before. He's now up 10. And so this game is just back and forth. The series just back and forth. It's absolutely insane. What a fantastic Terran versus Terran. Now, both these players just getting up more and more production. Bunny is the player who's really been hammering on the production. Bunny seems to like staying on his sort of set amount of production for a time, but he's really been like, all right, I gotta get ready for this. Gonna go kill his own SCV that was caught behind there. That's actually pretty important. I mean, if they do max out, that extra 2 supply can be the difference in the world. Now, Marine gonna be moving out for KeeN. It's just checking up on the bases, everything else like that. And we'll see, but both these guys just staying, getting up their 5th bases for now. This really is the most defensible location on Parasite. It is one of these larger maps. Okay, building armor on the way for Bunny. I like it. He's already got his +3 done. He's got his armor on the way. May as well get more upgrades. Meanwhile, KeeN on his side of the map, teching into Corvid Reactor. So that indicates he wants to get up a few more Ravens in. I mean, you can't mass Ravens like you used to, since they literally deal no damage with their anti-armor missiles. But their anti-armor missiles, a few of those in a fight compared to an opponent who has none, they are absolutely massive. And if we look at Bunny, he's got no inclination to go into those anti-armor missiles just yet. Let's take a look at his starports. Yeah, not a single tech lab on any starport, it looks like. So he really is neglecting those Ravens compared to KeeN. But as far as the unit count goes, we're seeing more just sort of muscle for Bunny, just a few more Marines, whereas KeeN committing to those air units. Both these guys, though, almost maxed out, so it's going to come down to that. We're seeing KeeN, he's moving out on the map, checking for, say, a potential 6th base. Although he is just planning on maybe moving in here. He scans, keeps an eye on his opponent. This is the time in which the map really just gets blanketed in scans, but Bunny, suddenly he's moving on in towards the base of KeeN. This is the 3rd base. There's tanks. These guys are stepping forward. They've got 2 more tanks to fall back to, and that will push Bunny back, so not able to get anything done there. Meanwhile, it looks like a bit of an air skirmish going on, but nothing too significant happening. Both these players, or at least Bunny, pardon me, expanding to the left. KeeN has yet to do that, partially because there's a few Marines hanging out there. Bunny planning on dropping out. Drops at this point. The returns generally aren't too significant because the more workers someone has, the more you need to kill, the more of a bank someone has. you gotta wear through that bank before you really start dealing a ton of economic damage. Bunny just seeing what he can get so far, kills up 4 SCVs. Anti-armor missile gets dodged. That's very impressive there. Now, these Marines are killing off a few SCVs. KeeN could maybe afford to actually just replace that with the army supply. We'll see. So Bunny may be doing him a favor. Bunny going with this drop, but suddenly KeeN, he says, all right, I'm going to put the aggression on you because you don't want to be the player who's just sitting back and taking it. So KeeN is now moving in on his opponent. These rocks are going to be public enemy number 1 here for KeeN. He's got his Vikings, he's got his Liberators, he's going to get set up on this base. His tanks are rolling forward. Refining are going to be under fire. Bunny already pulling the SCVs to start repairing this command center. This is something that I absolutely love, but they do need to start that repair action going down, and there is no repair so far. So, oh, there it is, but that planetary does fall. That repair is a little bit too late, so Bunny not going to have to buy time, and actually some Marines miss rallying here, but then KeeN also stepping forward into tank fire, and it's really coming down to the Viking fight right now, which Bunny is definitely winning. He's got the +1 ship weapons, which is definitely more upgrades than that of KeeN. KeeN, he's got his 1-1 for his Vikings on the way, but of course it's taken a while for that to hit now. Bunny lost a base, but at this point 1 base is not really what'll do you in. It will come down to that one fight that really snowballs, that straw that breaks the camel's back. Now it looks like though that Bunny, he does see that KeeN, he's unsieged these tanks, so it's going to be Marine versus Marine. There's so many tanks set up here for Bunny though. He just wants to try and catch these units. Catching 5 siege tanks and the units that support them would be absolutely huge, and these tanks actually getting caught out here a little bit. These Marines having to step forward to try and help him. Tanks rolling forward for Bunny, just trying to force KeeN to do this awkward dance as he retreats. Tanks moving forward. The rest of KeeN's reinforcements were maybe thinking of coming on in, but they decide against it. Bunny, meanwhile, just reinforcing a lot of Liberators on the way. I mean, he's the player who's really committing to the air now. He has that dominance. 16 Vikings, 6 Liberators, and 11 siege tanks, whereas his Marine count, it is falling, but these high-tech Terran units, they're so positional, so powerful, and KeeN's Marines are just being routed by this. Bunny may just keep rolling on up here and into a potential death push onto KeeN. KeeN floating over another command center. Looks like he wants to secure another base, but securing another base when there's this army on your doorstep can be very worrying, and this is where it does become very worrying. You eventually have to win out in the air fight. You need something like Thors to push the Liberators away, but KeeN has nothing of the sort. No Thors on the way, and as a result, these Liberators are pretty worrisome, but he does focus down on the Liberators. His Vikings will lose out in this fight, but Bunny still may be able to push in regardless. The supply really tells the story right now. KeeN actually taps on out. Bunny eventually just wears him down, and suddenly KeeN's not able to stand up to the might of Bunny, and as a result, we have our Afreeca World number 28 champion. It is Blazer's Bunny, taking his 2nd event in a row. Very impressive. The Korean Terran is looking very hot right now. But regardless, if you guys stuck through this cast, feel free to leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, as I'm always putting out more StarCraft 2 content, mainly casts, but, you know, that's my forte. So, yeah, if you guys do enjoy it, leave a like. Otherwise, make sure to tune into future Afreeca Worlds. You can check me out on Twitter. You can check out the channel, which this is streamed live on usually at Afreeca TV. That's linked in every description. And also the VOD for that will be on my channel that's linked there. And that, when I say the VOD, I mean the live VOD. Falcon Paladin did cast this live. And so if you do want to watch his perspective, I don't know if it'll be on his YouTube or not, but it's definitely on that channel on Afreeca, so feel free to check that out. But regardless, I shall see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.